So in this video I'm going to show you how to tap into your fuel tank to make an auxiliary fuel line for a heater. So I'll be doing this on my 2011 Mercedes Sprinter. First thing to do is I've made these little ramps made out of rocks by the river on the front and back wheels, so I can just raise the vehicle up a little bit and be able to see underneath the vehicle easier. So on this Mercedes Sprinter the fuel filler is here, so look underneath this side of the vehicle and there's your fuel tank right there. Just have a quick look around, all around the outside of the tank, make sure that there is no little hoses coming down. That might be the auxiliary one. Have a good look because it'd be nice if there was one there already. So first step is to unbolt this filler neck plastic. It's 4 screws there, and then to get the plastic out you also need to undo the screw here and loosen this on here to swing this out of the way to get the plastic out. So now there's just one more hex screw at the top here. And now that's loose. Undo the cap. And now the hose will be able to drop down when the tank drops as well. And so now to go underneath the van. There's the fuel tank there. It's held in by 2 straps. One here, one down there a little bit more. There's the filler neck there. You may have a rubber joiner there as well, which you'd have to undo, and then you might not have to undo it at the top. You'll also have at the top some wiring going to the fuel tank, a fuel line and a fuel return line. You may also have an overflow line. That could be something to look at either before or to just drop the tank slightly, only 10 centimeters or so, and then see if there's anything else holding the fuel tank in. So I'm going to get started and undo the electrical and the 2 fuel lines. And there's the other fuel line. Next step is to lower the tank. I have this box that just happens to be just about the right height to hold the tank. So I'm going to unloosen the front strap down and lower the tank onto the box, and then undo the back strap and then lower the back down onto the box. Now the front of the tank is just sitting there. It's a bit loose, but it's still being held at the back, so it's still holding up. So I'm just going to do the ones at the back. There we go, 4th bolt. The tank is now just sitting on the box. Now that the tank's been dropped, I can see this wire here, which I take as a ground up to the top of the filler cap. I can just unplug that. The filler is still attached, so as I drop the tank, I got to drop it straight down because it's going to pull the filler down as well with it. But other than that, the tank's all loose and dropped on the box. So now to lower the tank down to the ground, I've got this small box here that I'm just going to place at the back of the tank, and I'm going to slide this box forward so then the back of it drops down onto the smaller box, and then remove the big box and then drop the front down, and like that. Just then I don't drop it all the way down in one go and have it on too much of an angle, while also checking that nothing else gets hooked up on it. Now the fuel tank's on the ground. The filler neck is still attached, so what I need to do is to angle the back of the tank this way to try and get that filler neck down and out underneath the vehicle. It would be a bit easier if you were able to jack the vehicle higher up, because then less of the filler would still be in the vehicle, but I can look down it now and it's only 100 mil or so in there. And there's the fuel tank out from the vehicle. So now looking at the tank here, the fuel pump, sending in it, everything, all the electronics all come from underneath this cap. So the next step we have to do is to get this cap off. To get that off, we've got to undo these 3 clips, the 2 fuel lines and the electrical point, and then rotate this. So now took this off yesterday to try and figure out what fuel lines I needed for the underneath of here to pick up. I tried undoing this as much as I could, but I couldn't get it off. So I sprayed it with WD-40 around this top bit of the nut and the underneath. Left it for about 5 minutes and then tried it again, couldn't get it at all. So I'm just using a little extension and a hammer, and I'm just going to tap very lightly around the bottom of it. I've broken some of them off by hitting a bit too hard. So on the top of this tank you can actually see that there's 3 90-degree elbows coming off it. There's one for the fuel out, one for the fuel return from the engine, and there's also this one here which is actually blocked. There's a bit of plastic halfway down, and that's for the auxiliary fuel line. For some reason this one here hasn't been drilled. Usually there's just a little hose coming out here about 30 centimeters to the edge of the tank where you can hook up, but Mercedes has blanked this one off. So what we're going to have to do is drill a little bit of plastic out here and then attach a hose underneath it here on this nipple here to go down into the tank to pick up fuel. This fuel pump setup is actually set up on a spring system, so that way it's always pushed to the bottom of the tank. What I've got is I've got it loose, so it's just sitting at the bottom, and I'm just going to measure from the top lip here how much it sits above, which is 3 centimeters. And that's going to help me figure out how long I need the fuel line to be for it to sit on the bottom of the tank. So let's just remove this. So now we're at my little makeshift table with the fuel pump assembly. So you can see on the bottom of the fuel pump here, on the bottom of the elbow that isn't being used, there's this nipple here. What we're wanting to do is to attach some diesel fuel line to the bottom of it. And now we just need to work out how long to cut this hose to get to the bottom of the tank. We know that the spring compresses 3 centimeters, so what I want to do is I want it to finish about 1 or 2 centimeters before the bottom of the tank, so then it doesn't suck against the bottom of the tank, the flat surface. So I want to take off about 2 centimeters and 3 centimeters for the spring compression, so I need to measure from top of the nipple as far as the tube can go up to the bottom of here, minus 5 centimeters, and cut the hose to that. So measuring from the bottom to as far up as the tube goes is 27 centimeters, and we want to minus 5 centimeters off that, so we want the tube to be about 22 centimeters long. So we'll just measure out 22 centimeters on this fuel line hose. So this is the elbow that we're wanting to use for our auxiliary feed, and underneath here is where the feed goes into the tank. If we just pop a hose onto that and try and blow into it, it's blocked, no air is coming out, so we know that this here is blocked. So what I'm going to do, what I've done is I've got a little drill bit and I've got a little bit of the fuel line here, so then it's just a little bit, so then it'll work as a stop. So then as I drill in, the fuel line will hit, and then that means that I can't drill too far into it because I don't want to go drill through it because it is thin plastic, and if I did that I'd need a new one of these, so we'll drill that now. I'll also leave this tube on here because I want any plastic filament that comes off when I'm drilling to go down this tube and out of here. I definitely do not want any of the plastic to drop into the little catcher. Oh, yep. Now when I blow through, I can feel air coming out here. Now to just put a clamp up on the top of this hose here, push it back down into the tank, and then this part of it is done. Doesn't have to be too tight, and that's that part done. So now we've got the underneath of the pump done, we're just going to pop it back into the tank. There's a little O-ring underneath here, and you just got to make sure that that's all pushed to the side first, and that will make the seal with the top. Remember to also point the outlets in the same direction that they were before. I'm not sure if this is on all fuel tanks or not, but on this one there's a little arrow, and then there's 3 lines on the tank. I'm going to make sure that the arrow goes back in the same position that it was before when we took it off. I'm not sure if all tanks will have this, but just take note of it when you do take yours off. Oh, so I've twisted as hard as I can with my hands. So now I'm just going to use this very carefully There you can see, then my arrow is pointing pretty much to the middle one, which is where it was before I took this off. So this fuel outlet here is some kind of Mercedes one. The fuel line that I have doesn't quite go up to it, so I had to get some larger fuel line which can go inside over the top of this fuel line here and then over top of the fitting, and I will put 2 clamps around it, put that on, tighten these up. For this fuel line here, there's a kind of way that I can snake it down the tank here with some clips of where the original auxiliary line should have been or would have been, and I'll just lay that down there with a couple of pieces of tape just to hold it into place, and here would be the end of my auxiliary fuel line. Use a paper towel and just wipe up any of the diesel. Ready to go back in. So I just wanted to show you how these clips work. Basically all you do is push the lines up over the nozzle and just push it in, and that's how you connect them. To get them off, I'll just rotate this on here and show you. You just push the 2 clips in, push them out a little bit, and then on the other side you can see that the blue clips come out more. Give it a wiggle to pull it all out, and you can pop it back off. We use this auxiliary fuel line to power our diesel heater. If you want to see how to install that, click the link. To reinstall the tank, do the previous steps but in the reverse order. Also, I had one tip of using the 2 boxes in the same method to get the tank up there if you don't have a jack or something to lift it up into place. One thing to remember is the more angle it's on, the more all the diesel's going to run down to one end and make that end heavier. So that's why I like to do it step by step as well when you're lifting it up. Because if you tip it too much on one way, all the diesel's going to be at the end that you now have to try and lift up. Oh, that is heavy. Also try and get your tank as empty as possible. This one's about an 1/8 full, so it's still got quite a bit of fuel in it, so it is still quite heavy. Got the 4 bolts that I need to put it back in. Now all I'm going to have to do is try and lift it all the way up and into place again.
Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe.